Welcome to Concept. This is Dr. Bill Loveless. We're happy you've tuned in again. Thank you for being here. We're talking about Anger 101. It's not a highway. It's a place people live. Anger 101. The other day I was driving home and a pickup truck drove by me fairly fast on the left, followed by another one. And when the one that went by me first pulled in front of me, the other one went by him and then pulled in front of him and slowed down. The one that was in front of me pulled out to the left and wanted to pass, and the one in front of him pulled out too. And it became clear to me that I was dealing with road rage. Wow! Right there in front of me was road rage going on. And the pickup truck in front, every time the guy behind him tried to go to one lane, he would switch over just halfway in the lane so he couldn't get by. And that happened for probably 5 or 6 blocks. And old Bill stayed back. I didn't want to get involved in that, so I just stayed back. Today we're going to look at Anger 101. This is the beginning class in managing your anger. Anger is all around us. We have all kinds of views of anger. Let me share with you Ann Lander's advice column several years ago to a mother who wrote in, and the response that she got back from another mother. Dear Ann, I was shocked at your advice to a mother whose 3-year-old had temper tantrums. You suggested that the child be taught to kick the furniture and get the anger out of his system. I always thought you were a little cuckoo, now I'm sure. My younger brother used to kick the furniture when he got mad. Mother called it letting off steam. Well, he's 32 years old now and still kicking the furniture, what's left of it, that is. He's also kicking his wife, the cat, the kids, and anything else that gets in his way. Last October, he threw the TV set out the window when the favorite team failed to score and lost the game. The window, by the way, was closed at the time. Why don't you tell mothers that children must be taught to control their anger? This is what separates civilized human beings from savages. Another prominent American psychologist. If a person suppresses aggression, which is thus not at his disposal, if he bottles up his rage, we have to find an outlet. We have to give him an opportunity of letting off steam. Punching a ball, chopping wood, or any kind of aggressive sport, such as football, can sometimes do wonders. Yeah, that's right. They certainly can sometimes do wonders. It usually makes the matter worse. I can still remember the day I walked in to class where we were learning how to do psychotherapy with patients. I have to admit this was some years ago, and during the class period, one of the class members was invited to take the empty chair. There was an empty chair in the middle of the circle. There were about 8 or 10 of us in the class. And Washington, D.C. was the site. And this gentleman was urged with the help of a bataka, that's an air-filled bat, to kind of deal with the aggressive feelings he felt for his wife. And I can remember sitting there. Somehow it seemed to me something was amiss in this treatment. You know, get your aggression out, get rid of it. Well, the research is Leonard Berkowitz started 30 years ago at the University of Wisconsin, University of Michigan. Later, we find that the ventilations, to ventilate your anger, get rid of it. We have discovered over time that when you ventilate your anger, in most cases, it makes it worse. It reinforces it instead of gets rid of it. And so today we want to take a look at some of the helpful ways in which all of us can deal with our anger. This is a subject that we all need to talk and think about. There are several kinds of ways of looking at anger, and today, as I mentioned, we're calling this Anger 101. In other words, this is kind of the preliminary, beginning way of looking, because there's all kinds of different kinds of anger, and we'll look at those briefly today. And then there's rage, which is in a different category of anger, and that's a whole different way to be treated. And this is something that has a lot to do with family violence, with spousal abuse, and all these kind of. We're not going to get into that so much today as just basic Anger 101. Road rage, rage against our families, against our employers, against ourselves. A lot of people get mad at themselves, and they're very hard on themselves. They're down on themselves and talk about themselves in negative ways, and we want to get rid of all this. So let's take a look now at what we've got. Angry people are great athletes. They climb the anger violence pyramid. Take a look at this pyramid. Here's the anger violence pyramid. Now we're going to climb this pyramid together here in a few minutes, but I want to talk about some of the other things that are going on. These people who are angry are great athletes. You know, they run well. They climb well. They can go up the pyramid very well. They practice yelling every day. I mean, they're wonderful yellers. They just let their necks spread out and they just let it fly. We're going to get rid of all this hostility. When in reality, what's actually happening is they're making it worse. It's coming on stronger. You don't get rid of it when you ventilate it. The research is very, very, Carol Tavers, the research goes on and on. It's very, very clear. So yelling isn't going to help. They dish out the anger every day. They are great people who discourage other people and themselves by talking them down. Their favorite sport is pyramid climbing. As I say, they're great athletes. They love to climb the pyramid, and here is what I call the pyramid of anger. And now we're going to start at the bottom and kind of work our way to the top. We start with sneaky anger. Sneaky anger is exactly that. Its purpose is to embarrass or belittle someone. You want to make them feel worse. So you don't really attack them directly. You simply do it in a sneaky fashion. You sneak it out. I'm going to see if I can embarrass you. I'm going to see if we can make you look bad. We're going to see how we can do this so that you won't know I'm angry. I'm going to smile. You're never going to know because I'm smiling. How could I possibly be angry when I'm smiling? I'm so miserably sneaky in my anger that you'll never know whether I'm mad or not. But baby, don't forget, I'm mad at you. But I'll embarrass you, I'll belittle you, but you'll never know. The next kind of anger is typical of men. Frozen out. This is the kind of anger that says, I'm really mad at you. I'm not going to admit it, I'm going to sit on it. I'm going to become a stone wall. I'm going to become a frozen lake. You're not going to know what's under there. You're not going to know what's in here. It's going to be impossible for you to do anything about it. I will freeze you out. I will make you separate. I will be away and apart from you. You won't know what I'm thinking. You won't know what I'm feeling. I'm really mad at you, but you won't know it. I will freeze you out. I will go silent on you. I will persecute you, but I will never say anything. So you really can't blame me for anything. Remember now, we're climbing up. We're climbing up the pyramid. So let's go to the next step. Blaming and shaming. Blaming and shaming. We do this a lot with our children. We do this a lot in our families. Blaming and shaming. Big people, in the generic sense, big people, I don't mean fat people, but adults, tend to deal with non-adults in this way, in blaming and shaming. It's not a very happy way to go. It creates a guilty party and an innocent party. It separates people out, blaming and shaming. And we end up feeling bad. Everybody ends up feeling bad. It's a kind of anger that no one likes. Everybody is a loser with the blaming and the shaming game. Remember now, this is 101. We're moving now into 102 or 103, and at the top we have 401, the top. We'll get there in a few minutes. Let's go up the next step on the pyramid. Swearing, screaming, and yelling. Now there's a real winner there. Swearing, screaming, and yelling. Oh dear. Nobody wants to be around somebody who's swearing, screaming, and yelling. One author calls people who do this tanks. These are tanks. They just run over everybody. Their neck is swelled out. They're yelling and they're screaming and they're threatening, and all kinds of dire things are going to happen. And these kind of people basically are the kind of people that nobody wants to be around. But in too many cases, they get their way because everybody's afraid of them. So they start swearing and screaming and yelling, and everybody's so frightened they go quiet, and these birds have their way. Well, let's go to yet the next step. This is now we're getting into family violence and relatives, demands and threats. Demands and threats have to do basically with our families. They have to do sometimes with employers, employees, anybody that's talking down to somebody else, making demands and threats. I want you to do this. You have to do this for me. I am really going to take it out on you if you don't measure up. I am actually demanding, and if you don't meet my demands, here are the consequences. Here's what I want from you, and if I don't get it, here's what's going to happen. And that's a very, very strange, scary kind of anger. And a lot of people go to work afraid of meeting the demands of work, or they'll be fired. A lot of husbands and wives are afraid of the demands of the other because they'll be fired. Demands and threats are we're moving into a very tricky kind of anger management now. Let's go to the next one. We're climbing up the ladder now. Chasing and holding. Now we have moved from verbal expressions of anger and hostility. Now we have moved to physical manifestations. Now we're actually chasing, threatening, and touching, holding, forcing ourselves. This is an escalation, a major escalation from what we had before. Let's go to the next level, which is simply a clarification of chasing and holding, the partly controlled violence. Partly controlled violence, we mean there is violence, not just emotional violence, but physical violence. People are touched, they are hit, they are handled. And then we move to the top of the anger pyramid, anger 405 or 401, whatever number you want to give it. This is blind rage. This is the scariest kind of anger that anyone can deal with. Now this is the pyramid of anger. You know, it's important for us to move along, because you can spend time learning about your anger for only so long. And then you got to do something about it. So you can spend time learning about your anger, like we're doing here in this program today. I've kind of given you the levels of anger, but basically you have to do something about it. And the time has come for you to do something about your anger. To manage anger takes commitment. It takes some kind of real commitment for you to be able to do that. And the question before us is commitment to what? You know, you're saying, why don't you talk to me straight, Bill? I need to know what kind of commitment. Okay, you ready? What kind of commitment does it take? It's time to do something about it. It's time to manage your anger. It's time to do something about it. What do? Okay, ready? Commitment to staying calm. Put that back on the screen. Commitment to staying calm. Well, stay right here a minute. Don't go anywhere. Stay right here and we'll watch while I talk about this. The commitment, the basic commitment in dealing with anger is to stay calm. In other words, if you're struggling with an anger problem today, don't say, well, I know somebody who is and I'm going to tell them what to do. That's probably going to make it worse. You've got to take responsibility for yourself, and they have to take responsibility for themselves. Don't try to take it for somebody else. You start with a commitment to staying calm. There are two kinds of calm, okay? Number one, the first kind of calm is consistent calm, almost never getting angry. I'm not talking to you. Today I'm not talking to you. That's not who this program is for, because you don't need this program. You're consistently calm. There's another kind of calm, though, and that's the kind of calm that I want to talk about. Managed calm. Expressing yourself better even when you are angry. Stay right there a minute. Let's look at this. We move from consistent calm. That's not what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about managed calm. Somebody who decides to do something about it, expressing yourself better when you're angry. Okay, how do you do this? Well, let's move on. To manage your anger, one, make a promise. I promise to stay calm one whole day at a time. Listen to me carefully. This is where we start. This is number one, numero uno. Make a promise to stay calm only one day at a time. Today is all that matters. That's what you have to do. So make a promise to stay calm one day at a time. Number two, I'll tell people and God about my promise. In other words, cut some other people into the action here. And bow your head and say, God, I promise with your help to stay calm today. Help me to stay calm just today. Ask your family to help you stay calm. Ask your employer to help you stay calm. Ask your friends to let the word out that you are making a commitment to stay calm one day at a time. That is a very crucial way to do it. Ask for support. As I said, get your support group going, and that will help you more than anything else you can ask for. A good bunch of friends and family who have been invited into your life say, I'm trying to get over my anger, I'm trying to stay calm. And instead of getting over my anger, the positive side is, I want to stay calm just one day, 1 hour at a time. What can help you do that? I'll entertain no ifs, ands, or buts. No excuses. Yeah, but, or only if only this had happened or that had happened, I would have done better, blah, blah, blah. That's not what we're talking about. So what do? Well, I'll remind myself of the bad stuff. Nobody likes to remember themselves when they looked bad. I don't like to be reminded of stuff when I look bad. You know, really. I like to forget about it. But when you think about your anger and when you really sounded kind of childish, kind of stupid and silly, think about that. Think about how it was when you were acting out all these crazy feelings, especially adult males and adult females. Children can be excused, kind of, although that's another subject. We don't want to look bad. So remind yourself when you looked really bad. How did it feel to look like this kind of person? And I'll plan ahead. I'll plan ahead. Plan what? I'll plan to stay calm. Remember, we begin by saying, I want a certain kind of calm. And I want this calm only to last for one day at a time. So I will decide to do this one day at a time. I'll plan ahead and I will be positive. Important to be positive. Remember, it's very, very helpful to us to think about being positive even about life's negative events. This is not to be Pollyanna and say bad things don't happen. Bad things don't happen to good people. They do. But when we take an upbeat attitude and a positive attitude about our calmness 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time, then we have the opportunity of really being able to do what we want. We climb down the anger pyramid. In other words, we're coming down. How are we coming down? Take a time out to stop the violence. The time out, Junior, you just misbehaved. Go sit in the hall for 5 minutes. Well, that's a timeout. As adults, we take a timeout to pray, a timeout to meditate, a timeout for quietness, a timeout to reflect. Relax. Breathe deeply. On other programs on Concept, I try to teach you how to breathe deeply, so I'm not going to do that today. We've done that on other programs, but I do want to say, you know, as you watch, sit up straight, take a deep breath, way down here in the diaphragm, not up here in the chest, way down here. You all know about this. Very important when you're climbing down the anger pyramid to take a deep breath, relax. Ah, boy, makes me feel better already. Stop trying to control others. Control yourself. Remember, I am committed to staying calm. I have told my family, I have told my friends, and I have told God, 1 hour, 1 day at a time. Stop trying to control others. Control yourself. The Lord doesn't need your help, and they don't need your help controlling them. Accept differences as valuable and desirable. I had no idea how different my wife was from me when I married her. I was like all of you out there when you got married. You didn't have the foggiest idea what was going on, really. You thought, oh dear, this is such a wonderful woman, this is such a wonderful guy, we have so much in common. Well, my wife and I did have a lot in common. That's what brought us together. But I had no idea who she was And she had no idea who I was. We had no idea how different we were from each other. We focused on all the stuff that we enjoyed that was the same. And that's the way most married couples do. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's very unrealistic. Accept differences as valuable and desirable in your friends and family. Instead of demanding your rights, listen to me carefully. Instead of demanding your rights, try saying please. Try saying please quietly. And last, speak kindly. No swearing ever. Be responsible for everything you say and do. And forget the phrase, hey, underline this. Forget the phrase, you made me mad. Thinking I'm making myself angry is a lot more honest. Don't pass out permissions to other people to make you angry. Other people don't make you angry. You allow yourself to become angry. You make yourself angry. This is really a lot more honest. So in reviewing, we speak kindly, no swearing ever, be responsible for everything you say and do, and forget forever the phrase, you made me mad. Instead, think, I'm making myself angry. Because as all's said and done, that's a whole lot more honest. Well, we've climbed the pyramid and we've descended the pyramid of anger. And I hope you've enjoyed the trip. Most of all, I hope you will decide to search and find calmness. 1 hour, 1 day at a time. Remember, as we say frequently on this program, don't try to be perfect, because no one can be. But in your attempt to live your life free of the negative effects of anger, what we do want you to do is try to do better. That's all we ask.